Hey everybody, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we are covering a romantic classic from the 80s, let's say. We enter once again into John Hughesville and talk 16 Candles. Now this is one I'm not on, so I'd like to thank once again Kellie and Daniel for giving me some family time during my parental leave. But if you are listening to this and you have not considered a rate or review, I appreciate you if you would do just that. Not getting enough of us in your life, continue joining the Patreon. Patreon.com/myopia. And I haven't plugged this in a while, but if you want to listen to our required reading podcast, it's getting a lot of traffic right now because of some book burnings of books that we have covered lately. So if you like to, talk about books that are, let's say, being banned in certain southern states, consider listening to required reading. Or, I guess, movie riffs, patreon.com/cineprop. Thanks, guys.
Welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we are looking at John Hughes' directorial debut, 16 Candles, which is also the number of candles I believe Leonardo DiCaprio gets shoved up his ass during those kinky nights. I am Daniel. I am your temporary host. I am also a contributor to popdose.com. We're recording this at the beginning of January. Hopefully I'll be able to resume contributing to them this month. And on panel we have tonight
Lauren, what's happening, hot stuff?
Hey, Kellie. Happy to be back.
Well, it's good to see you both again.
I'm going to start us off with a bang. This movie was awful.
Yes.
This movie was absolutely terrible. And let me just say, I had never seen this movie before.
Really?
And I don't know if, maybe if I had grown up with it, if it would be better. But I could not believe that most of the stuff that was in this movie made it into a movie in the 80s.
This movie does not age well at all.
Well, no, it didn't. But also, even at the time, I was like, maybe I've just watched a whole bunch of sugar-coated 80s movies, but this seemed excessive, for the 80s.
I do have one question to ask, and this would probably normally get me slapped if Kellie and I were in the same room, but this is such a weird part of this movie, so I feel I have to ask. Lauren, Kellie, when you were teenagers, did you spend every morning just looking down at your chest to seeing if your boobs had grown?
No, I gave up on that a long time ago. I don't even do it anymore.
Okay.
There is one point that I would check that out. I think that's normal that all girls kind of when they're first going through puberty. And it's kind of funny. Me and my friends, I'm not kidding. I want to say it was way younger though, not high school. This is when you're first going through puberty. So this is
middle school.
Grade. Yeah, middle school.
Well, as the title says,
there was a year that me and my friends, we would always pack for lunch our carrots. We would.
I had never heard that.
Oh,
you never heard that before? Totally.
I had never heard that. I've never heard that until this movie, and I was like, carrots, really?
There was a rumor and a myth that it's supposed to make your boobs bigger.
Maybe that's the problem. I hate carrots. I've never eaten carrots, and I just have always suffered for it. So
Now, see, when I think of baby carrots in teenage movies, I think that one scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Which I also have not seen all the way through.
Yeah.
Have you seen that scene?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you, Lauren.
Yes.
We won't go into details, but the baby carrots are a substitute for something or another.
Different private parts. But yes, but no, me and my friends totally did do this. But Kellie, I'm just curious, how you never saw this movie? You just never caught it?
Well, no. I mean, my parents were super strict, and
yeah,
we just didn't really watch movie stations, I guess. Me and my brother growing up, and my mom wasn't a huge Molly Ringwald fan, so we just.
Yeah.
I've never seen this. I've never seen Pretty in Pink. I don't even think I've seen Breakfast Club all the way through since I was 6.
Oh my.
So
yeah.
There are a lot of movies that I have not seen because we just didn't watch a lot of movies. I mean, we watched cartoons but mostly we were outside.
No, this movie did not age well at all. I think this was just one of those that me and my friends would just watch in a lot of, sleepovers growing up, like this and Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles and kind of fried green tomatoes and
You had different friends than I did. We watched like Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, and because I was never allowed to watch movies like that, so they were like, okay, let's get like the scariest, dumbest, like rated R movies that Kellie's not allowed to see that our parents let us watch, and let's watch those. Like,
kind of like how my sleepovers, I could finally watch MTV, which I nominally wasn't allowed to do at my own house.
Same.
But then again, my parents both worked, and they'd have to spend late nights at the office, and that's when I got to see Celebrity Deathmatch, which is the pinnacle of Western civilization right there.
Oh, yeah.
Civilization, I mean.
The only time I got to watch Celebrity Deathmatch was when my parents would watch it at their friend's house when they were all drinking.
Oh, boy.
Like, that's the only time.
Deathmatch in South Park is where it was at, man. That was hugely popular. Yeah, I even did a whole PowerPoint presentation to my parents. I'm not even kidding, about arguing why I should be allowed to watch R movies when I was like, I don't remember how old I was. Like,
what was this rated? Was this R?
It was PG.
It was PG.
Shut up.
Exactly.
Yes, it was. And there's full frontal nudity in this, and it's PG. You got me, Kelly.
Like, because they dropped the F-bomb a couple times, and that's a rule. Oh my God, and it's so racist. And like,
are you kidding? Yeah, so racist. They talk about, boobs. He pulls up her underwear to show it to everybody.
Yeah, pulls up. I mean,
there's several problematic things.
Yeah, I can't. I believe that it's the director's debut. I will say that much.
Yes.
I do believe when you said that. I didn't know that, but as soon as you said it, I was like, okay.
What does
Maybe
everyone
that's part
think
of it.
of? What does everyone here think of John Hughes? We'll get into the movie after this, but we've done some of his stuff before, and later on he became like this legendary screenwriter. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Ferris Bueller. He wrote Home Alone. In the 90s, he was kind of more low key, but in the 80s, he was like a god. But this was really his first start, and he'd done a couple screenplays beforehand. He did Pretty in Pink, I think someone mentioned. National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one he wrote the screenplay to that, and I'm pretty sure he also wrote Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
John Hughes, I mean, he's unfortunately been gone for 12 years at this point.
Wow.
Are you guys fans? What was your experience with him growing up? Because I feel he did leave a big impact on everyone in our age.
I've talked about this several times on the podcast, so I hate if I'm repeating myself, but John Hughes is one of my favorite directors. I just love his style. John Hughes and Quentin Tarantino are my two ultimate favorite directors ever. And I think I think it's the dialogue. I think I am just a huge fan. They're both famous, especially John Hughes and Tarantino are just famous for their dialogue and just witty kind of script. And I think, say what you can, this movie does have a lot of problems, and we'll get into that, but this script is well written, and it is tight, and it is,
yeah, it moves.
The dialogue is good.
Yeah, it definitely moves. It's a cohesive story. Like, I don't feel like there were a whole lot of gaps or anything, but like, I don't know, Daniel, I don't pay a lot of attention to directors, so I'm probably not the right person to answer this question. So
Well, the script kind of reminds me more of a Jim Jarmusch indie film from the 80s, because that's when the indie film boom was kind of happening, and I'm really surprised this got a major release. I mean, I know
Breakfast Club is my all-time favorite movie. I don't know. There's something about John Hughes. I like his style. But I think it's mainly his dialogue, and I think his casting. He always just casts really well. I mean, again, this movie again has very problematic. We'll get into it, but the cast is phenomenal.
The cast was great. I mean, I enjoyed them. I was less thrilled with the plot.
Well, I mean, before we get into the plot, and Kelly, I'm going to ask you to give it to us if you're willing to.
I mean, I can try. I'm bad at plot, but I can try.
Well, the thing about John Hughes is he is perfectly capable of creating real emotional adult settings. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The ending of that movie is still one of the most heart. It tears me apart every time I see that movie at the ending. It's really heartfelt. And then he's also capable, in like The Breakfast Club, of making it feel like these teenage feelings are the most important thing in the world. Like now, when I look back on that, and I certainly felt those things too when I was that age, when I look back at that, I'm like, oh, that's silly. I can't believe anybody would ever care about that sort of thing. But he makes his audience realizes why they would ever care about those things, because to a teenager's world, that is like relationships and like people ignoring their crushes at lockers is the most important thing in the world.
He's very good at representing kind of that coming of age and kind of whatever that new generation is, He was kind of the voice for the 80s, whereas the 90s, it was more of like Heathers, Reality Bites, even Scream, I would argue.
I love Heathers.
Yeah, is kind of that representation of the 90s dialogue, right? And that his is more of the 80s, that coming of age during that time. I think he represents very well.
Yeah.
He does, sure. But he really doesn't represent it well here. I mean, this is such a weird movie.
It was weird. And the fact that it took place pretty much over 36 hours, I was like, it felt like someone walked in and they were like, all right, we're going to do a movie about teenagers and we're going to do a movie about everything that's wrong with teenagers. And like, it's truly what it felt like. And it was just like, have you been around teenagers? Was I around the wrong teenagers? Like, my high school experience was nothing like that. And I don't know, maybe I was just a goody two-shoes, but like, I don't know any of my friends that spent a Friday going to school, then going to a dance, then going to a party, and then like on the same weekend that their sister's getting married, and like that wouldn't have happened. That's not a thing. So I mean, I don't know.
Let's get a plot and then we'll get into it. So
before I do have one John Hughes moment from my high school experience, and that was I'm not sure what the context was behind this. I'm sure it was a bet or she had suggested this, but there was this right after lunch, there was this woman who was just going up to like practically every random dude that was gathered in the common area and was like, hey, do you want to have sex with me? And then they'd all get flustered. And then she'd just move on to the next guy when they started that. And it was like, hey, okay, you want to have sex with me? And it kept going like that. And then after a while, she turned to her friend and was like, well, see, I told you.
Okay.
I don't know the context behind that, but yeah, I guess the context was when the cards are on the table, no one's actually going to play the game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ask people in the common room. Like, do you do what now or like later? Like, there's too many questions. You can't just.
Right.
No. So for plot, I mean, it takes place over essentially 36 hours. So we open, and Molly Ringwald's family is getting ready for her older sister's wedding, and everyone's kind of getting ready for school. I'm assuming the Friday before, which also happens to be her birthday, and her family forgets. So she goes to school, kind of complains about it to her friend, answers a note, answers a question and answer note from one friend to then give to a different friend, which was weird. Anyway, so it ends up in her crush's hands, which we all know is bad because the questions are obviously like, who do you want to bang? So she goes home and she's like, Mom, can I go to this dance tonight? Her mom's like, yeah, sure, of course. There's, the rehearsal dinner and all this stuff, and we're gonna meet his parents for the first time for whatever reason the night before the wedding, because apparently that's a thing that people do. But yes, please go to this dance the night before your sister's wedding. We don't need you. It's not a big deal. We still don't remember your birthday. So she goes to the dance. She gives the nerdy guy on her bus her underwear so that he can brag about it because they have 5 seconds of getting along for whatever reason in the shop room. I would have punched that kid in the face so hard. Like, this chick does not fucking stand up to herself to anyone, and it's infuriating. She's a redhead. She's not naturally like that. Come on. So then there's a party after the dance that Molly Ringwald and her friends do not go to, but the nerdy guy and her crush is at his house.
The nerdy guy in question.
And a whole bunch of really horrible things.
Michael Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, well, there's a whole lot of drinking, a whole lot of cans, like a whole lot of beer. Like, more beer than I feel like I've ever seen at a party. But maybe I just had too many of them and don't remember. And then there's this really touching conversation between the nerdy guy and the crush, where the crush is like, well, yeah, my super hot, sexy girlfriend is totally wasted in my bedroom, and I could violate her 10 different ways if I wanted to, which is super problematic. So then nerdy guy.
Real touching stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a perfect pickup line right there.
So nerdy guy goes to take hot girl home, and somehow that doesn't happen because he's got to show off. And then I guess they bang in front of the church that Molly Ringwald's sister is getting married in, and her crush sees her there the next day, and she gets the guy too. Like, I guess eventually her parents were like, oh, it is your birthday. We didn't forget, but it's 11:30 at night, but we didn't forget. It still counts.
We're sorry.
So that's the plot. I mean, I'm not great at plot, but that's pretty much what it was. I mean.
Well, then at the end, Jake comes. We'll talk about cake. Yeah, because this is like the iconic scene of this. He shows up to the church, and it's just all the cars go away, so it's just him. And he picks her up, and she gives her cake.
He makes her cake with
like a wish. She said it already came true.
So cute.
Yeah, but I mean, are there any quote unquote iconic scenes in this movie that don't make you want to take a shower after watching them?
No, literally none of them. Her grandmother honks her boobs.
Oh yeah.
Her grandmother honks her boobs.
Fred, she's on her boobies. Even her little brother, I wrote this down. Her little brother, like the very first scene, saying she got her period. She make for an interesting wedding night.
I know. I was
like he's like 11. He's like 10 or 11.
And then his dad goes, "Where are you learning this stuff?" He goes, "School." His dad goes, "All right, glad I'm getting my money's worth." And I'm like, "What? What? This is the opening scene." I don't even think.
No, she goes on the bus, and the nerdy guy, I'm gonna call Anthony because it's Anthony Michael Hall, but because I forget his name in the movie, but Anthony goes and he's trying to hit on her, and she's like, "You want to know something?" He goes, "Yeah, you're a fag." I mean, she even says that. I mean, it's really, there's some very problematic language in this. Not to mention the very racist character of Long Duck Dong.
Yeah.
So Long Duck Dong in this movie is Sam's grandparents.
Exchange student.
Are fostering, and he's helping, and could not be more stereotypical, just awful racist.
Every time he's on the screen, they play like
a gong,
oriental sounding music or gong, and it's like, you can't do this.
Well, here's another weird thing besides all the racism about this movie. Molly Ringwald's supposed to be like the poor girl in town, right? But I mean,
is she supposed to be poor, or is she just
poor?
not popular?
Yeah, just not popular.
Yeah, I mean, she's not the richest person, but she's not meant to be poor. Like, that's a nice neighborhood. It's a nice house. I don't think anyone.
I think you're thinking Pretty in Pink.
Maybe that is what I'm thinking of.
No,
Pretty
I think
in Pink is when she's really poor.
But I don't know. I'm concerned that so many people were staying in this house. Is that an 80s thing? Because I feel like a lot of movies kind of play up on the trip. Well, you're sleeping here and you're sleeping here, and so-and-so's going to stay here, and everyone's in this house on purpose. And I'm just like, is that an 80s trope that
No, that's.
Just talk about why you would plan your wedding around your sister's birthday anyway. Like, why?
That's
Why?
real life,
I mean,
Kelly.
I would
wouldn't.
never do that. My sister got married, been a year and a half now, and if I tried to plan my wedding around her birthday, she would probably slit my throat. Like you don't do that.
We did.
For this reason, because you know people are going to be busy, distracted, whatever. Like you don't plan around big events like that.
We
Like,
did.
That seems like an easy fix. Or if you do, then you really, really coordinate and you really organize. Like, hey, they're staying here. We're gonna do your birthday this time. We're gonna, why would you do that? That's just
We got married the day before my brother-in-law's 21st birthday. And we made him travel to Georgia. So he was with none of his friends on his 21st birthday.
Oh.
His birthday was a Sunday. And so we all stayed out until midnight and bought him like multiple flights from Taco Mac and celebrated. Like at midnight, it was no longer our wedding, it was his birthday. Like we did switch over. We did remember it was switched over, like, but he was traveling back on his birthday.
But see, you at least acknowledge it. You at least plan. You at least
yes.
know.
We had like a 21st style outing. Like, let's figure out what style beers you like. He still ended up ordering a Bud Light, but he did drink the flights.
Now, I've got two questions. First and foremost, what does it mean that everybody forgot Molly Ringwald's birthday in this movie? Like,
it means that it's a movie.
I guess so. Also, why did John Hughes?
In my opinion, that they're assholes.
I mean, really,
that's not cool.
And it's not even like she's the youngest. I mean, I guess it's that she's the quintessential middle child. She's middle child syndrome all the way around for everybody, I guess. Yeah. But like, no, you don't forget your child's birthday. I don't care how busy you are. Like, you don't miss her. And it was her 16th birthday. Like, no, that is a huge deal for girls. Like, she had to have been talking about it for months. Like, there's no way.
That's a huge.
There's no way they forgot.
That's when you start driving by yourself. That is like when that's a huge milestone. You don't forget that. So again, I ask, when you were planning this wedding, you didn't go, let's look at the date here. What else is going on?
Well, my other question is about all this. Why is John Hughes so obsessed with teenagers? Because he was in the 30s when this came out. Actually, 1984, 85. He might have been in his mid-20s, but either way, no one else was doing this at the time. But what made him so interested in teen lifestyle?
Maybe because it wasn't there. It was just a genre that wasn't being filled.
Yeah, he definitely has an infatuation with Molly Ringwald for sure.
I mean, if he did all three of those movies, and she's in all of them. But I don't feel like that's uncommon though.
No.
But I mean, so after we play kind of Ring Around the Rosie bedroom wise in this house, and she ends up sleeping on the couch. I don't know, and she's got like the loft, like attic bedroom. Like, why would you kick her out of her room? No one wants to stay up there. Like, what? Anyway, so she goes to school and she's telling her friend, like, they fucking forgot my birthday, which I think she says twice.
You've never had Christmas with extended family all congregating in the same house, have you, Kelly?
No, we all stayed together. No. No, I mean, I slept on a cot before, but it was still
not quite to that level.
No, I mean, I slept on a cot, but it was in a bedroom. There was a bedroom set aside. It was like an office, and there were two cots that were kept in a closet specifically for that purpose. But to play, I mean, we did play Ring Around the Rosie when my in-laws were here. They slept because we moved the guest bed to Adelaide's room, but we still have her toddler bed, which, as we all know, will not be happening again anyway. So
there you go.
Get a hotel. Like, I'm sorry, if you guys are retired, you can afford a $50 hotel or whatever it was back then. It's fine.
I had a sleeping bag, and my brother and my cousins would have to go in the room above the garage.
So it is a thing. People do this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's so rude. I would I don't know. I wouldn't put someone out like that.
Yeah, I definitely did, but not to that level. Not to that many people. And
yeah. Not so that people, not so that people,
or where it wasn't like clearly talked about and planned, and everyone kind of knew what was going on, like the plan.
Yeah, I mean, if it's planned, that makes sense, like, but who who just shows up and is like, yeah, we're all going to stay here. And so you're going to last minute do this. And then it's like, no, I got to clean my room. I got to put my stuff away. Like, she's 16. She's got shit to hide. Like, you have to tell her. Like,
Now, can we get into one of the creepier scenes, for me at least in this movie, which is the sex questionnaire that Molly Ringwald and her classmates have to fill out?
Yeah.
hey, I didn't understand why one friend gave it to her to give to her other friend. Were they both supposed to answer it and then give it back?
I think
Like,
that's what it was, because she says, did you get it? Did you fill it out or something? And she said,
no, she said, did you get it? So-and-so gave it to me to fill out, then to give to you. And it's like, okay, so were you supposed to fill it out? And she goes, well, did you put your name on it? And I'm like, is that a thing? Did people sign their notes in the 80s? Like, you hand your note, you know who it comes from. Hand it to someone. You don't just, it's weird. Like, my friends and I had notebooks that we passed back and forth. We never put our names in them. Like, no. We talked about sex in them when we were 16 and it was like, or 17. And it was like, you ask questions like that, you write back and forth, and no, you don't put your name on them, and you don't leave them laying in your room where your mom can find them to call your mom to be like, did you know Kellie's having sex? Fuck you, Valerie.
Well,
None of your
most of
business.
that,
Certainly none of my mom's business.
the reason I thought it was an official test was because of that disclaimer in the one question where it's like, don't worry, you're not signing your name. You can be honest.
And I think that's just kind of be honest. Like, I won't tell.
yeah, no, me and my friends, we definitely did stuff similar to that, like where we pass notes and everything or put it in each other's lockers is mainly what we did.
They weren't specifically about sex, though.
But nothing,
like, if it came up. Yeah.
Nothing specifically, like, of course we'd talk about that, but nothing, I felt that went on a different, a deeper level there.
Again, written by a dude who has no idea what goes on with teenagers.
Yeah.
Although
that gets her on Jake Ryan, who is like the heartthrob of this movie.
And he was. I would also have had a crush on him.
That gets her on Jake's radar, basically, because he didn't know.
Because she said that she would bang him, and he's like, oh, okay. Well, I have the super hot, super popular girlfriend that I'm already banging, but let me just think about this redhead that, like, I don't know, that, like, maybe I could bang because she's been staring at me and I know nothing about her.
Well, I know Lauren's gonna smile when I do this Broadway joke here. My girlfriend who lives in Canada.
She lives in Canada. You wouldn't know her.
She sucks like a Hoover. That's all I remember.
Maybe it's a girl thing, Daniel. I mean, did you guys do the whole? Let's see if you guys did similar what they do in the locker room, where they're like, hey, what about this chick or whatever. That's the very next scene. Did you guys ever do anything similar to that?
Well, I'd rather not discuss about the times I ended up in the girls' locker room. I have a feeling there's still some law enforcement in South Carolina who want to talk to me about that. But no.
Why am I not surprised?
It was the Lexington locker room, Kellie.
I bet it was. No one wants spermo chicks.
No.
Anyway.
No, I kind of got what they were going for here, but it was just so weird. First, it's a PG movie, and literally we see a naked teenager showering.
Was this before when was the PG-13 rating out?
The first movie to get a PG-13 was Red Dawn, I believe. Temple of Doom is what spurned them to create it, but in terms of it actually getting the rating, that was Red Dawn, which was 84, I want to say.
Okay, so this was 84. So this maybe that's why it was right before that new rating system or whatever.
Maybe. When did they update? Because I know, isn't it even if you say fuck twice, it's an R rating automatically?
Oh yeah, you say.
And I know they said it more than once in this.
Yeah, you're allowed one F.
But they definitely said it more than once in this, right?
I think so, yeah.
Because she says it at the beginning. She goes, they fucking forgot my birthday. And I'll be honest, I was not expecting to hear that out of Molly Ringwald's mouth.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I wish they'd release both versions of a movie where in one they say fuck uncensored and then the other one they cut it out because, sometimes you feel like a little fuck and sometimes you don't.
I'll watch the TV version.
There you go.
Exactly.
It's like growing up, we watched The Princess Bride all the time, which I actually wasn't able to be on the Princess Bride podcast, so our listeners don't know that, but it's my all-time favorite movie. And I won't go too much into it, but we watched it on tape that we had recorded off TV. So like, I always knew at the end that Inigo says, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch." But until I was in high school and bought the DVD for my dad for Christmas one year, I had never actually heard it. And it was so exciting.
It's like, he said bitch.
I was like, you can hear it.
Right.
Like, you know what he says. I knew what he said. I had always, which is sad because I think I started watching it at 4, but like I always knew what he said.
Right.
Because we would quote the lines to each other. So like, my parents weren't they never really held back like with cursing or anything. We just knew we weren't allowed to do it in public. And so it's like, I always knew, but it was just exciting at like 17 to have a job and be able to buy my dad a gift that was, I got him the Princess Bride DVD, and it was super exciting. And then to sit and watch it by myself because he was busy and just be like, I can hear it.
I had similar to the Breakfast Club because Breakfast Club used to always be on TBS and the edited version and the same kind of thing until I got the actual DVD. It was like, oh, okay, this is a lot worse than I thought.
That's what that was.
Yeah, there's no way. Let's just chat about this for a minute. There's no way I don't think this movie would be made today at all.
No,
not with
like
one
this.
Doc done.
You would have
not like this. No, there would be.
You would have to change like pretty much everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for one, because
especially the Ron Deck Dawn character.
Oh yeah.
Super racist. And I do remember, it's unfortunately, but my memory of this is one of my close friends in high school, my buddy was Asian, and I went to a private school, and unfortunately there wasn't a lot of diversity, as not nearly as much as there should have been. And so he was one of the very few Asians. And so I do remember, like, sometimes in class, if he would say something dumb or something, people would call him Long Duck and do a quick little impression, but like at the time it wasn't like it wasn't, I don't know, it was racist, but that's not, I don't know, that's not how they were trained to be.
I feel like when you're younger, like, it doesn't click
right
that what you're doing is racist. And like, but the thing is, in a movie, as a writer, director, like adults, you know what you're doing, and you know you're doing it for comedic relief, but it's like,
right.
I really don't know how they got away with it. I really don't. I'm just like, I'm in awe that they did. And I know it's not the only 80s movie that has stuff like this, but it was so overt.
Yeah.
Like, so overt.
Very blatant.
That I was shocked. I was shocked. Like, the name shocked me, first of all, because I was like, because I think, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is one of those random facts that I learned in college. But anatomically speaking, ducks have the largest penis based on their size of all animals, or something like that.
Oh, really?
Like, proportionally, I think.
Okay.
I heard that in college. I believed it in college. It might be true, but thinking of that weird, useless piece of information and watching this movie, I was kind of just like, it's funny, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I recall correctly, ducks' penises are shaped like a corkscrew, but anyway.
They are. That's why there's a wine duck rabbit or whatever it is. Yeah. Anyway.
But no, this would never get made today. Just like, not the same at all. Like, especially, basically the sexual harassment scene.
No,
he's like,
lets that happen?
Away from Tuesday, and here, take her home. And he gives her, like, he literally.
Oh, the Rolls Royce, yeah.
With her.
His dad's car.
Yeah.
To take her back to her house and make sure she gets home. And it's like, okay, sure. And then he literally doesn't. And like,
right.
forget the fact that he ran over a whole bunch of shit with that car, has never driven before, can't drive, doesn't have a driver's license, is definitely already drunk before he even starts leaving. And by the way, the whatever mixed drink that he made so professionally in that kitchen was like, do you do this for your mom? Like, what is this?
Right.
Like, you flat out said this is your first party. Like,
Jake just treats his girlfriend Caroline like crap. He just leaves her. He ignores her a lot. Like,
well, and I do wonder how much garbage led up to this, because she's like also kind of shitty to him.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
But I feel like that's the whole popular couple thing, right? Like, they're together because they're the popular ones, but like, I could have so and so, and I could have.
It's about popularity rather than connection.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like,
but I just feel like
don't have a giant party. Don't invite a lot of people to my house. And then she turns around and does exactly that. And it's like, I mean, I get like
that in a different way.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was really uncomfortable. Like, the conversation with them in the kitchen. I was sitting there and I was like, you can't say that you could potentially violate your passed out girlfriend 10 different ways. Like, that's not okay. That's rape. Like, you can't do that. You can't. And then to turn around 20 minutes later or whatever, when they wake up in the car in front of the church, and Nerdy Dude is like, so did we? And she's like, yeah, I think we did, but I think I remember liking it, so it's okay. I'm like, no. You were wasted. That's not consensual. It's not okay. Like, no, none of this was okay. Nothing about this night was okay.
There are so many bad jokes about minorities and disabled people and women, and this is just a real, like, 4chan movie.
I mean, yeah, kind of. Maybe not as bad as 4chan, but on its way.
Well, I imagine there's a thread there where, like, somebody has paid for a woman's panties and just takes a picture showing it, stretched across the screen, what happens in this movie. You can sell your
panties online. You get more money if they're used.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll have to keep that in mind. I've got some used panties myself that I need to unload.
So that's really gross.
When I was in Japan, there's vending machines that you can buy them, and it'll tell you. Yeah.
How much were they?
I believe those are still illegal in Japan.
Were they expensive?
It like goes by tier. Schoolgirl obviously is like the number one popular, right? So that's more expensive. Like, and it goes, like it's literally like listed.
Oh, people are disgusting.
People are very disgusting.
The whole thing about Anthony Michael Hall and Molly Ringwald in this movie is Anthony Michael Hall's supposed to be the awkward teenager who still has his heart in the right place, except this time he doesn't. Well, I mean, that's the trope that he's trying to do, but he is so disgusting in this movie.
I think they gave up on that trope and they just went, make him gross. Like, honestly, his heart is not anywhere except his dick. Like, no, he's garbage. He's a garbage human. And it's like, no one stands up to him. No one.
Which is a big problem with this movie. I mean, there's nobody who could tell this character, hey, stop being a fucking dick.
Well, they did. Well, so her friends did, right? On the bleachers. And then he, stalked her to the shop room. Like, I'm sorry, what? And then she talked to him. What is wrong with you?
Like several times he tries, and he just does not take no for an answer.
And jumps on her twice, and she still is just like, ew, no. And I'm like, leave.
I think
why are you even there with him?
I think he's trying to make it like, I don't know, kind of charm, like, oh, poor puppy, but it does not work.
No, it doesn't. There is so much in this movie that's just weird.
Molly and Anthony Michael Hall started dating right after this movie.
Gross.
Went out on the research that.
How'd that work out for them?
They briefly dated for a couple months, but they ended up breaking up before Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club was the next one. But I thought that was a funny little tidbit. So obviously they liked something about each other during these scenes and stuff.
I don't know. I feel like knowing that and then looking back on those scenes, you can kind of see that because she is like smirking. And I was like, I couldn't tell if she meant to or if she was trying not to laugh or if she was like in character and like trying to like not be nice. What was I gonna say? Like if she was actually finding him endearing at some point, but it's like no. No, knowing that now,
about the scene with her sister Jenny at the actual wedding where Jenny took a muscle relaxant.
The scene was funny.
I thought that scene was pretty legit funny.
Oh,
I think it's funny. Why you need to take a muscle relaxant just because you got your period? I didn't quite understand.
Cramps. She had cramps, and my guess is that like whatever she took, they didn't have Midol. All they had was.
And again, you didn't plan. Again, like I know shit happens, but like especially when you plan a wedding, you take that into account.
So I put in a new birth control shortly before my wedding.
Oh no.
And they're like, so you might spot.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not gonna work for me. I'm going on my honeymoon. maybe we should wait and just like just put me on the pill for that month. And they're like, okay, but if we do that, like you might, if you start your period early, you'll still be on your honeymoon. And I was like, what is the universe doing to me? Like, no. But I said, okay, fine, then give me 2 packs of pills so that I can skip the period.
Right, exactly.
Well, you know what you need, as apparently all women need, according to this movie, is a date with Anthony Michael Hall when you're already passed out, and that way you'll end up sleeping next to him in your car.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need that. And
I know, and she didn't seem freaked out at all.
No, she's not freaked out. She's not mad. She's not like, oh my God, my parents are going to be like.
I would have been freaked out. I would have been so pissed at my boyfriend. Like.
Yes.
Not have been okay.
No, none of it would have been okay. And she's just like, I can't believe you parked in front of my parents' church. And I'm like, this is the response? Like, how about, I can't believe you drove me around while I was drunk, gave me more alcohol, did me in the backseat of what I thought was my boyfriend's dad's car, and I'm missing half of my hair. Does someone want to fill me in? Like, no, everything about that is problematic. And then he drives to his friend's house, and he's like, take a picture. And I'm like,
which the gag doesn't come out right. It's only like the top of his head, but
it's like, it's how you get arrested. You know, like you run around and take, like today, you do something like that, put it on Facebook, like you're going to jail. You're going to jail for so many things, honey.
Again, why this did not age well, and this could not be a similar thing today.
I don't see how
you could still toy with the idea of it and coming of age, but yeah, you would have to change it like a lot.
But I mean, even today, like I feel like, or even then, how did they get away with that stuff? Like
Reagan's America, that's how.
Well, I mean, the racist jokes I get because people weren't as like, not sensitive, but like politically correct. Like people didn't care as much about people's feelings. Like that I get. Product of its time would not fly today. The issues that I'm taking with the conversations that are clearly about rape and like how did that fly under everyone's radar, even in the 80s? I mean, like how? Because I don't see it. And people love this movie. They're like, oh, you have to see this movie. You have to watch 16 Candles. And it's like, it's the 16-year-old girl and it's so great and it's this and it's that. And I'm just like, no, it's not. I don't want my daughter watching this. Like she and Jonathan actually came downstairs at some point and I was like, go. She's not watching this. Like, and I've let my kid watch a whole bunch of stuff, like because she doesn't normally pay attention, but like that is no.
Yeah. I hate to say it because it's like so cliche, but like it was okay at the time. Like
was
it? Which doesn't make it okay and doesn't mean it's right, but like I do think it's a byproduct of the time.
To be fair, back in the 80s.
Okay, but
no, I know. I'm not like.
But just means I don't know. It was okay then.
It still is just surprising to me.
Yeah.
To be fair, Kelly and Lauren, there was a comedy in the 80s about a white guy who dresses up in blackface in order to get to a historically black college.
Yes. What is the name of that movie again?
Soul
Man.
Yes, Soul Man.
Yes.
which I've
What?
never seen. I'm not sure if I ever need to see that because that just sounds disgusting, but
Yeah.
it exists.
All right, well, maybe I stand corrected. I don't know, man. I was just like, okay.
So we've already talked about what happens in the middle. There's that big lull with like all the characters riding around with each other, and Matthew Broderick has the homecoming queen in his car and is like trying to feel her up, and eventually they make out in it was a McDonald's parking lot, right?
The nerdy guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like all of that with those two. I feel like half of it I blocked out. No,
Yeah,
she's
don't
messing
keep
around.
that.
Doesn't
Don't
she
keep
lay
that.
her head in his lap or something? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to infer anything in that scene, but like I know she lays his head in his lap at some point. And that's when he runs over the trash cans.
And he even says, he looks at the camera and he goes, "This is getting good."
Yeah. And I was like, all right, we're breaking the fourth wall a little bit. Can appreciate that. The joke, not so much. Gross. But
Right.
I will say, this is going to sound gross. I will say that every man does deserve a good roadhead at some point in his life. However, I feel like it should happen under slightly more sober conditions.
Ass, grass, or gas?
I agree with that. So this movie definitely is problematic, but why I think it was so popular and does kind of touch a nerve in a good way for some people is I do think it does touch on the coming of age of how being a teenager sucks sometimes and just dealing with your crappy family sometimes when they do, not right things to you, like forget your birthday. But I think it just touches on the difficulties of growing up sometimes and that awkwardness of that. And also, are you kidding? Like your first love, your first crush. I mean, that's all you want.
See, all of that I get. Everything that involves Molly Ringwald, I get. Like her storyline makes perfect sense to me. I remember being 16 and going through that, not people forgetting my birthday, but like I remember being 16 and going through those feelings and having this crush. Right. But like, and being at the dance and being awkward, but like,
right.
Maybe it was just me because I wasn't allowed to go out after dances, but like, I don't remember parties where people got like wasted and were doing crazy things and driving people around in their parents' cars and like all this behind the scenes stuff that I honestly could have done without. Like if I'm here to watch Molly Ringwald deal with her 16th birthday, like give me more of her. I don't know that I need to see, weird nerdy dude talking to Crush at a party because somehow that's how Crush realizes that she's into him. Like that could have been a 10-minute conversation at the dance. He should have approached her at the dance. Like, right. I just feel like there's all of this pointless, purposefully inappropriate shit that they do because they're like, teenagers would do this. I bet a teenager would do this. And it's like, okay, but would they? And I don't know. Maybe they would. I never did. But like, do teenagers do that? Like, was I sheltered? I mean, I was sheltered, but like, am I that sheltered to be like, no, this is really not something that would happen. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I understood Molly Ringwald's like storyline. I liked her storyline, and I agree with you that she is coming of age. She's awkward with this boy that she likes. She's sad that she doesn't have boobs, although her boobs look way better than mine did at 16. And
it's not like 16. She really is 16 in this.
So it's like, I get.
Yeah.
Being upset that people forgot my birthday, like dealing with my sister getting married, being upset that being told that I'm selfish when I feel like I'm not, like storming out of a room. All of that I get. All of that I get. The note passing, the answering the stupid notes, like all of that I get. Everything else, I don't. It was stupid. I felt like it was pointless. I can't believe that this movie only took place over 36 hours because so much happened. And I'm just like, there's no way that these people fit this into a 24-hour period. When did they sleep? No one slept. No one's how long? For 2 hours? For 2 hours, and then you're gonna go win the girl? And then 2 hours sleeping in a car in front of a church and you're sober enough to have this conversation? Like, no, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not. Like, it was just so stupid. Like, really I did not dig this movie at all. And if I was Molly Ringwald, I would have punched that little nerdy kid in the face. Like, I'm sorry. I said no to you 6 times. Get the fuck away from me. Go away.
Yeah.
Go away. And then she just, I don't know, where does she even go? Like, they're sitting in the shop class, and then she leaves. Does she go home? Like, she goes back in to maybe try to talk to what's-his-face and then walks away. Does she go home? Does she just abandon her friend there? The only person that cared about her birthday, she just left her at the dance to go home? Like, where's the rest of her storyline?
Yeah. Or even with Catherine, like her friends just kind of leave her too. Same kind of thing.
But at least they leave her at her boyfriend's house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, her boyfriend shoveling her in a car with a nerdy dude that he just met so that he can go mac on some other girl is super fucked up. He was dreamy though. But yeah, no, all that was just super fucked up. I did not like it. I won't watch it again. I won't recommend it to people. I don't know if that's me wrapping up my thoughts, but like, I don't know if I have anything positive to say anymore.
Well, let's go ahead and do that. I mean, this is a relatively short movie, and there's really so many gaps in the narrative. I mean, it just meanders, especially in the second act. Lauren, let's go to you. I know The Breakfast Club is one of your favorite movies. Final thoughts on this one?
So, this movie definitely does not age well at all. Rewatching it now versus rewatching it a lot with my friends in high school and growing up in middle school and stuff, it's really has not aged well. There's a lot of problems. I mean, just like we talked about, just the rape scene, the sexual assault, the blatant racism against Asians. There's a lot going on here, but again, kind of what I was talking about, I think what's good about it, I enjoyed it. I think it's fine. It's good dialogue and everything. What kind of touches a nerve for me is I do think it tells the story well of that coming of age, that feeling of being a teenager and being 16 and dealing with all of that, with that awkwardness, with that becoming a woman but not yet there. And that first love, that first crush, man. And that's just like every teenage girl's dream, is just her main crush to show up, to pick her up and say, hey, I'm into you. That was just like everything. And feelings. But I love John Hughes. He's one of my favorite directors. But yeah, this movie did not age well. A lot of problems. I don't know if I would be into it again, but I like it for what it is.
All right, fair enough. Kellie, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from with the coming of age from Molly Ringwald, and I wonder if I had seen it when I was younger, if like I don't think I would have registered everything else the way I do now that I'm older. But like, I would have cared to see more about Molly Ringwald. I didn't care about Long Duck Dong. I didn't care about the nerd or even the crush. Like, I really didn't care about the crush and the popular girl. Like, I didn't understand why I needed all of that extra bullshit that had nothing to do with the person that I was supposed to be connecting with. So I don't know. I just kind of just felt like, honestly, I was really mad at myself for volunteering to watch this movie, having never seen it. So I'm just like, all right, this is 2 hours out of my life that I'm never getting back, because I'm going to watch it and I'm going to complain about it and I'm never getting that time back. So, yeah, no, I'm not into it. If you haven't seen it, I don't really recommend it. I don't know that you're going to find much connection with it, outside of that 10 to 16 range where you're not really fully watching it to understand everything. Like, my guess is you and your girlfriends probably talked through the scenes that were just guys because you weren't connecting with them. So a lot of the stuff probably just totally flew under the radar anyway. Yeah. Knowing girls watching this movie at a slumber party, like, we would have been talking and giggling and like it wouldn't have all sunk in. But watching it by myself, actually paying attention don't do that. It did not age well. I don't recommend it.
All right. Well, thank you both. I think I've made my opinion of this movie clear. John Hughes can be very talented when he's talking about like the ultimate teenage fantasies or like trying to shift the narrative around so kids getting detention is the most important thing that's going to happen to them for years. I mean, nowadays, I just would hear that and scoff and laugh, but that's obviously not the reality that we were presented back then.
I remember getting detention, and it is a memory that still very much sticks out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I got detention because I gave my boyfriend a hug goodbye. It was PDA, so I got after school detention. Yep, for 3 days.
Oh wow!
For a hug.
That seems a little.
Well, Kellie, you should have left 6 feet in between you for the Lord. That's how that works, right?
It was a bunch of bullshit too, because it was the vice principal, and he fucking went hunting with my boyfriend and his dad. Like, you're a dick. You're just doing this to show that you have power because you don't know who I am. Like,
you joke about that, Daniel, but I went to Catholic school with Sir Nick Hoffman here, and we did have certain people that at the dances they really would say 3 feet for leave room for Jesus. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I went to a Catholic school. I went to one dance there and decided I was never going to another dance again. At least not at my Catholic school. And I didn't. We moved. So it worked out.
Well, beyond that, though, after all the Catholic school talk, I can't recommend this movie. I really can't. It's just a bunch of cliches and racist jokes and sexist jokes and homophobic jokes. Maybe had John Hughes did a Richard Linklater thing and made the middle section where they're all at the bar and all trying to get like 0.5% beer from the tap. Maybe those conversations could have been an interesting movie. But the biggest issue I have is, frankly, I don't care whether or not Molly Ringwald gets a 16th birthday cake at the end. The movie just didn't make it seem that important beyond her context, which, again, Ferris Bueller taking a day off, everyone was totally into it. They wanted to go to those nice Chicago landmarks. They wanted to eat the food he was eating and hang out with his best friend and his girlfriend. That is a great movie, but this really isn't a whole lot.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. All right, someone write it down because I actually agree with Daniel on every point about this movie.
Nice.
I think that's the second time this has happened in less than a year, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
These are all valid points. I would be interested if because they seem to be remaking anything that was popular in the 80s and 90s. They want to remake now. I would be curious to see if in a remake they could change it and change those problematic stuff to make it better. I
feel like they would leave it out. I feel like it would be more about I feel like it would be more heavily female cast.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be more about what being 16 is actually like. Like it would be more,
more depth. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be a bunch of girls being together, at a dance together, writing notes, being awkward, talking about the boy. And of course there's the weird guy on the bus because there's always the weird guy on the bus. On my bus, his name was Kevin. He's a very nice guy, but he was weird. And most of the time inappropriate, but it was actually coming from the right place, and he did listen if you said no. So
Timothy Chalamet will be in that movie, right?
Oh yeah,
that's fine. I don't know if he's gonna be the nerdy guy or the dreamboat. I don't really think he's a dreamboat, but Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, what's his name? Tom Holland.
Yeah,
he's cute. He could be in that.
I assume you've seen him as Rihanna, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
One sync battle. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I have. That was great.
Well, anyway, we're out of time. Thank you both very much for joining us. This was actually a makeup recording. We were meant to have this a week earlier, but unfortunately, situations beyond everyone's control, some really tragic situations prevented us from doing that. But here we are, and at the very least, it's keeping me sane. So thank you all for joining. Let's go around the horn real quick and see if anyone's got anything to plug. Lauren, you go first.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll keep you guys definitely in the loop and informed. Thanks so much. I have an audition this Saturday, so we will see what happens.
Yay!
Do you mind telling us what it's for, or
if I get it.
All right, cool. Well,
auditions are coming up. Things are cooking. We'll see what happens.
Very good. Kellie, what have you got to plug?
Not much. I believe this is coming out after the last one I talked about. But I've got my commission that I'm working on for Rose Quartz from Steven Universe. But my husband and I are also talking about moving. So we will see how that works out in the future. But we're looking at like Roswell side of Marietta. So Lauren, if there's anything out your way that you see that we might like. It's just, you can kind of tell with the playroom, office, sewing room, we need 4 bedrooms. It's getting tight.
Well, let me know if you find any good real estate agents out in that area, because obviously I'm going to be moving soon myself.
Yeah, I have one. I'll send you her name.
Oh, that'd be great.
She used to be a bartender at Mac McGee, so you can trust her. She's fantastic. I love her. So we're meeting with her Friday. I've already got a quote to like.
Good luck to you guys.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I got a quote to paint our ceilings, and we have to touch up like all of the molding around the doors, because cats and their assholes, little demon shits. So, but we're gonna do that ourselves. I'm not paying someone to do that. It's expensive.
Well, thank you both very much for joining us this evening. I'm Daniel. I'm your temporary host. I've been on a ton of these episodes. I'm also a contributor to topdose.com, so just go there and check me out. Got a couple of long-running series there that I enjoy writing, so I hope you enjoy reading them. And we have been discussing John Hughes' 16 Candles, God help us. And I think we all agree this is a movie that would not survive the Me Too movement. Anyway, though, once again, thanks for joining us. We've got a couple episodes in the can, but we're going to be recording again in the not too distant future. And I just want to say thanks for listening. Check out our Patreon page, which we've plugged in other episodes. If you want to throw some money our way, you'll also get riffs from the Cineprov trope. And in the meantime, thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys. This is so fun.
Myopia Movies is produced by Nick Hoffman and Daniel Settis. It is hosted by Nick Hoffman and Daniel Settis. Mission Briefing is hosted by John Copsey. Podcasts are edited by Daniel Settis, and Patreon is edited by Nick Hoffman. Our engineer is Nick Hoffman. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license.